Hi, welcome back to the Rose at Home channel. I am Rose and I am so happy to see you. If you are new here, welcome, and if we've been hanging out, welcome back. Today I thought I would talk about some of the things that have been on my shelves for the longest amount of time. I have a pretty extensive book collection and it didn't happen overnight. I'm not sure if I joined Goodreads in 2019 or if that's just when I started putting in the shelves, but I have some things that have been on my owned shelf since early 2019, and now we are pretty much right in the middle of 2023. And so that's a long time to own books. The way I do my Goodreads, if I see or come across something that I'd be interested in, I mark it as to read, and then I shelve it one of two ways. It is either shelved as owned, which means that I bought it, or it's shelved as to buy. So oftentimes I'll see their list of things that are coming out, or I'll hear about something coming out, and I'll shelve it as to buy, and then if I do pick it up, that changes to the owned shelf. So it is possible that some of these things I haven't owned since early 2019, but they're all in Goodreads, date back to being added to my TBR in March of 2019. So my thought was, I'm gonna pull the 6 things that have been on my TBR the longest, and I'm going to try to get them read before the end of 2023. So if I get them done earlier, that would be great. If I don't do punishments, or I've mentioned that before, I don't do punishments or anything like that. But I really would like to get them read. I bought them because I'm interested in them. I'm still interested in them. There's nothing about them that I don't like. It's just that ooh, shiny new things keep coming in and kind of taking the place. So I've got 6 things that hopefully between June and December will get read. And if I read more than that, I will add more things from the end of my list. So the first thing that I've had, the book that I've literally had the longest, according to Goodreads, Rebecca Roanhorse's Trail of Lightning. And this is the hardcover. I bought this when this first came out and I was super excited about it. I'm still super excited about it. I still do want to read it. I will say that YA fantasy isn't a go-to for me. I do like fantasy. I do have a good bit of fantasy, but the stuff that's YA tends, even though I enjoy it, it tends to be something I don't necessarily think about when I'm thinking about what do I want to read next. The other reason that this hasn't gotten picked up, it does have a sequel. But from what I understand, it's supposed to be a collection of 4, and there are only 2 released, and the author has stated that she doesn't think that the publisher wants to do any more in the series. And I haven't read them, so I don't know if the second book ends on any type of cliffhanger, but I kind of didn't want that. So that's where sometimes I've thought about it. I have read her Black Sun series, the Black Sun and Fevered Star, both were some of my top reads. I can't wait for that series to finish, which I think will happen sooner rather than later. And so I still want to read this. I still suspect I'm going to want to read at least the second one. Hopefully that either wraps it up or the publisher gives the go-ahead to finish the entire series, because I have a feeling I'm really going to like it. The second thing that is the second longest on my TBR is Brandon Sanderson'S Mistborn. I believe Mistborn is the name of the series, and I'm not sure that Mistborn is the name of this book, but it says Mistborn, but I've heard people refer to it by a different title. Again, it's not YA from what I understand. This is adult fantasy. I've heard the world building is amazing. I've not read any Brandon Sanderson, but I've bought multiple of his books. I do own the sequel to this, so I bought the first 2 in this series. I just haven't read them yet, and I'm trying to make an excuse, and there's no real excuse for it. It's other than it doesn't seem like it would be kind of a light read. It needs to be a time when I'm ready to dive into a good complex world with magic and eating metals apparently, and it just hasn't happened yet, or other things have kind of jumped ahead of it as far as starting new fantasy series. So I got a strong feeling I'm gonna really like it once I get to it. I just have to get to it. So this is definitely on that list. Is the second longest on my TBR. The next is what I believe is going to be a heavy historical fiction. It is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, I believe. I'm not 100%. I've bought other books from him since this, and I haven't read those either. I understand that this is going to be sad, this is going to be heavy. I don't do a ton of historical fiction. I always enjoy it when I do. I have no reason to not read it other than I know it's going to be heavy. I believe it is World War II historical fiction. And so it's not going to be a light, easy breezy read. Yeah, I think it's just one of those, I need to be in the mood for a heavier historical fiction. And again, when I have been, newer things have presented themselves, or things that I've gotten more recently have stepped to the forefront, and I've ended up picking those up instead. So this is a reminder for me, I've got this book, it's supposed to be amazing, and I should read it. The next one is one that from what I've heard, that people are polarized. I have a very good friend who absolutely adored it and was like, how have you not read that yet? But it has been on my shelf since 2019 and I still haven't picked it up, and it is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. It is, I'm shelving it in fantasy. I believe it is fantasy. The only reason I can think of that I haven't picked it up yet is when my eyes have fallen across it. I've thought it would be a bigger mental commitment than I was ready for at the time. If I was looking for something kind of light and easy breezy, this doesn't seem like it would be that. Fantasy in general isn't that, and for the past book, neither is historical fiction. And so these, I think, tend to be on the shelf longer. I get super excited about picking them up and having them, and I'm so happy to own this, but I really want to sit down and read it. I really want to get it off of the TBR and into the read space. The next thing that has been on my TBR since 2019 is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I have read Recursion by Blake Crouch and I really enjoyed it. The thing that has stopped me from picking this up, first off, if you've noticed on my shelves, sci-fi is one of my smallest shelves. It's not something that I gravitate toward, and so I don't own a ton of it. And from what looking at the synopsis for this book, it seems to have a very similar plot to Recursion, and I already read that. So that's what's made it easier to kind of pass this one by and go for something else. But I believe this one came first. I really did enjoy Recursion, and I know that I'm gonna like this. I would have gotten rid of it by now if I didn't. So this is something I definitely want to get to before 2024. And this one goes back to April of 2019, and it's The Night Olivia Fell, and it is by Christina Mcdonald. And I believe that this is a mystery, and I believe it is maybe a parent. You know what, I am going to read the back of this one just because it's been a long time and I don't remember. In the small hours of the morning, Abby Knight is startled awake by the phone call no mother ever wants to get. Her teenage daughter, Olivia, has fallen off a bridge. Not only is Olivia brain dead, she's pregnant and must remain on life support to keep her baby alive. And then Abby sees the angry bruises circling Olivia's wrists. When the police unexpectedly rule Olivia's fallen accident, Abby decides to find out what really happened that night. Heartbroken and grieving, she unravels the threads of her daughter's life. Was Olivia's fall an accident, or something far more sinister? Christina Mcdonald weaves a suspenseful and heart-wrenching tale of hidden relationships, devastating lies, and the power of a mother's love. With flashbacks of Olivia's own resolve to uncover family secrets, this taut and emotional novel asks, how well do you know your children? And how well do they know you? So it sounds really interesting. It sounds like domestic mystery kind of thing. And I do like those for the most part. I do enjoy those. So I bought it because it sounded interesting. It still sounds interesting. I just need to go ahead and get this read. And I would like to do that again before the end of 2023. And I really think I can. Now that I've looked at all six of these, I've got 6 here. Now that I've looked at all 6 of these again, I'm actually really excited for them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put them not back on the shelves. I'm going to put them in a stack on the desk. And that way they will stay front and center in my memory. So when I'm thinking, ooh, I'd like something kind of domestic mystery, I can grab The Night Olivia Fell, or yeah, The Night Olivia Fell. Or if I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling a sci-fi, I can grab the Blake Crouch, and I can read some of the things that I've had on my shelves for the longest time. So I really hope that this was interesting, and if there's a book in here that you're like, oh my goodness, you will love that, pick that up right now, get that one read, put that one at the top of the pile. Please put a comment down below and let me know which one I should start with. I would be so grateful if you would do that and kind of give me a push in which direction I should be in. So in the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I hope that when you turn this video off, you go and you read some really great books.